Hello and welcome to Live at the Lounge. It's Sunday, August the 4th. I'm Sam, and these guys joining me tonight, I've got Alex Jester all the way over there on the right, and in the middle, I'm very pleased to be joined by Chris Steele. Thank you, Chris, for coming in. He's from Blackwater Draw, the lovely independent brewery we've got going on in downtown Bryan. And before we get started, we've got this new show that we put out through Living College Station called Finally Friday. And we were down there this Friday. Alex was down there, and he got to have a few words with Chris and check out the brewery. So before we get started with the podcast, we're going to check out this last week's version of Finally Friday. Take a look.
Ladies and gentlemen, Finally Friday. We're here in downtown historic Bryan once again at the Blackwater Draw Brewing Company. So first Friday is taking place. Come on and join us. Let's go inside and have some great beer. It's Finally Friday.
Thank you guys for coming out. We, myself, Chris Steele, and then Chris Weingart are the two owners of Blackwater Draw. We've both been in the beer industry for a long time. We were just talking about that. I've been in the beer industry for almost 20 years. I opened O'Bannon's Tap House on Northgate, which has been there for about 14 years. And then in 2013, the other Chris and myself, we opened our brew pub over on Northgate. That ran for about 5 years. But 2 years into that project, we opened this space here in downtown Bryan.
Nice.
No food here, no kitchen here, but brewing beer on a bigger production than we were doing there.
You guys get food trucks and things like that out?
Yeah, we have Crafty Pig comes out quite a bit. We've had Blake Steaks.
Okay.
You know, a couple other ones.
So you met Chris back when he worked for you at O'Bannon's, is that right?
Right. Yeah, Chris worked at O'Bannon's for a stretch, and then went to work for one of the beer distributors in town. Okay. And he was kind of their craft brand developer. So we still work together in the beer industry.
Okay. So how do you know, somebody that used to work with you approach the idea of opening up your own brew pub and that whole thing? That just one night out for a couple drinks?
It was getting close to St. Patrick's Day, and usually about a month before Patty's Day, either Dropkick Murphys or Flogging Molly will do a tour, and they always come through Houston.
Right.
And so we went to, I believe it was a Flogging Molly concert, and we were at a bar before we went to the concert, and he's just like, hey, we should open a brew pub.
Right. So you started small. Do you remember what the initial size of the amount of volume you had at the original place?
We opened up with, our system there was 7 barrels, so we could only brew 14 kegs at a time, max,
okay.
Right? Our system here, we can do 40 kegs at a time, but our tanks actually hold 80 kegs. So we have to brew twice to fill them up.
Right. What's your favorite beer?
Hazy Lady.
Hazy Lady?
Without a doubt.
Where do you get the inspiration for the names from, and where do you get the ideas for recipes and things, anything?
Yeah, Hazy Lady, I think, was named by the girls, Pine Out Girls. They came up with that name. Mulligan was just, we were thinking going playing golf and drinking a beer on the golf course. That's where that came from. Pretty simple,
Drink beer, you need a couple mulligans when you're drinking.
Bordertown is a Mexican-style lager.
Right, so you're open Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, but the big events like First Fridays and Texas Reds, Oktoberfest releases and things like that.
Yeah, we'll release Oktoberfest on the last Friday of this month, August 30th, I believe.
And you guys have a Facebook page and everything, so you can follow that and get updates on it?
Yeah, it's all at Blackwater Brew.
Okay. Hey guys, our Finally Friday giveaway is going to be a t-shirt from Blackwater Draw. Go ahead and comment, tag a friend, share it, like it, anything like that, and we'll go ahead and make the drawing next week, and we'll let you know who won. This is the big thing, beer to go right here. Come pick some up and carried out. It's the only place you can do it down here. So open to the public, brewery tap room. Pets are invited, kids are welcome, families, friends, everybody come out and check it out. Blackwater Draw. Finally Friday. That's right, W. We'll get some shots of the downtown Bryan area. Joe. Beer to go, growlers. That's right. Only place you can do that here in downtown.
Am I in the shot?
I don't know.
Go back and do that again.
Oh, damn it, Tex.
I'm trying to do business over here.
I didn't know we were, I kind of didn't know we were shooting. Whatever.
Hey, man, I always keep the camera rolling.
That's right.
Doing business.
So that was finally Friday down at Blackwater Draw. I want to say a huge thanks to Alex for being the star of that. You know, it's something we all decided we were going to rotate in on, and he just seems to get stuck with it every Friday. So thank you, Alex, and thank you to Chris for having us out. Tell us, guys, how was your week? What did you all get up to?
So yeah, how was First Friday?
It was First Friday.
I was going to ask how it was for you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great. We were busy. We released a new beer. We've been aging a beer for 2 years. We brewed that beer when we still had the restaurant. We brewed that beer at the restaurant.
Okay.
So that's how long ago we brewed that beer, and we aged it for 2 years, and we released it on Friday, and it was good.
That was the one that I don't know if that was in the Finally Friday, but it was from Messinahoff, the barrels?
Yeah, Messinahoff wine barrels.
So how does that go? I mean, specific type of barrels, do you char
Yeah,
them?
we had 2 red wine barrels from Messinahoff, and then we had 1 Old Granddad bourbon barrel.
Okay.
And so we aged it in all 3, and then we mixed it all, we blended it all together for the final product.
Oh, okay.
So as we go through the podcast, Chris is a brewer, and we got any questions you got for him. It's interactive. We're monitoring the chat, so post them up. And I wanted to touch that First Friday. First Friday is, for those of you that don't know where, City of Bryan shut down the downtown to cars, and they completely pedestrianize it. So the first Friday every month, there's like a big outdoor street party in downtown Bryan, and Blackwater Draw is kind of right in the middle of all that. So that's what the new beer was about, right? Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah. So with those kind of experimental beers, so you say brewer, is that a title that anybody can kind of just assume, or do you have to get certified?
So I'm not taking, my business partner Chris Weingart actually brews the beer.
Okay, I was gonna.
So yeah,
ask.
he actually made the beer.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I was about to ask. I mean, that's kind of a big risk, I would think, as far as aging something for 2 years and off of an experiment.
Those we've done 2 other sours before, and they were in those same barrels.
Okay.
So we already knew they're inoculated with 3 different types of bacteria. And we knew they were going to get that funky taste. Where the question came in was the beer was ready about a year ago. Mm-hmm. And we were like, yeah, the beer's ready. What should we do? You want to bottle it? Do you want to keg it? What do we want to do? And Chris is, as a brewer, is a neat freak. So he's really worried about cross-contamination, which is why we always bottled it. So we ended up kegging this one at the end of the day, but it just kind of got put on the back burner. And at that point, we were like, man, we hope the beer's still good. It's been a year on the back burner, and it's actually very good.
Yeah, I mean, I saw your setup and everything, but yeah, the cleanliness that goes into maintaining that kind of stuff is pretty intense. Mm-hmm. But worth the effort to do it right.
It is. The cool thing about the brewery, so I own O'Bannon's as well on Northgate, and that kind of goes back to how we got into doing the brewery, and we can talk about that in a little bit, but the cool thing about the brewery is it's your product. Mm-hmm. It's something that you made. You're not selling somebody else's. It's something that you created from scratch.
Right.
And that's the cool thing. That's got a lot of pride goes into that.
Yeah, that was kind of my next question. Is you got the bar, and at what point do you think, right, we want to start making this? How did that come about? You end up owning a brewery.
Well, so O'Bannon's, we opened that. We just celebrated our 14th anniversary, so we've been there for 14 years, and we were always a beer-focused bar.
With a name like O'Bannon's, you'd struggle not to be, right?
Yeah, well, it's all beer and whiskey.
Right.
I mean, we have vodka and tequila, but we don't really sell much of it. It's pretty much
No,
all
it
beer
sounds
and
like it's beer and whiskey. You pretty much captured that essence right there in the name.
right. So when we opened that, we really wanted to push. We pushed Guinness and your typical pub beers, but we also pushed craft beer. And craft
sounds like I'd find a lot of rugby players up there.
You do see some of them up there. The fun fact about the Guinness too, we're ranked 2 in the state for Guinness sales, and we're right on the cusp of being number 1. We're gonna hit it this football season.
That's impressive.
That's pretty good.
Very
We sell
impressive.
a lot of Guinness, but the craft beer thing, when we opened, it was all craft beer. Back then was either New Belgium, Sam Adams, Sierra Nevada, and I mean maybe a couple others, and there really wasn't much else.
Right.
And then that boom started happening about a little over a decade ago, and so that's kind of where the brewery came from. Is just after really pushing craft beer and seeing that boom happen, and we, Chris Weingart, he used to work at O'Bannon's actually, and was the manager there for a little while, and then he went to work for one of the local beer distributors as their craft beer portfolio guy, and
right.
So that's and he was homebrewing, and so that's kind of where that started.
Ah, right. I had a neighbor, and he may even watch this. I'm not sure. He moved to Washington a few years ago, but he was so big into homebrewing, won a bunch of little tournaments around the state, and he'd just show up on my front porch every so often, a big knock, and he'd have 2 pitchers of beer in his hand. He'd be like, "Come on, try this." I'm like, dude, I got to work in the morning, and then there we'd go, 2 pitchers deep, and it was about 10 years ago that homebrewing really kind of took up, But how do you get from? I read a little bit on your website about the first beer you did was a coffee porter, right? How do you get from I like coffee and I like beer to fuck it, what could go wrong? Let's get a brewery going, lads. I mean, that's got to be a pretty engaged process.
That's
right?
literally like what happened.
That's how we do it. That's how we do it. That's why we've got real estate companies.
Literally what
teams.
happened. Yeah, I'm a big coffee fan. I drink a lot of coffee. I loved coffee porters. I was a big fan of Real Ale. They have a seasonal coffee porter, so I was a real big fan of that. And just a dark beer, fan in general. And he was homebrewing, and we started this idea of starting a brew pub, and he's like, well, like what beer styles do you think we ought to open up with? That was the first word out of my mouth was, got to have a coffee porter. So we What's the Buzz is a local coffee roaster here in town, and we went and bought a whole bunch of different coffees. I can't remember now. It was half a dozen or more, and just tried them all and tasted them and tried to get different, what flavor profile do we want out of them, and we went with the Tanzanian pea berry and Contract Killer.
So the profile from the coffee will go to the beer too? Oh,
Is
wow.
do those tend to be stronger beers? Because I bet you could hide a serious amount of alcohol using coffee in a beer, and that's especially in the stouts. A lot of the ones in England come back at 6, 7, 8% when you start putting that kind of stuff in them. Do you follow that profile? Or?
Not, I mean, the coffee itself doesn't necessarily raise the alcohol.
No,
content,
but you can use that coffee to mask a lot of the alcohol and have a stronger beer.
You can use a lot of flavors, to kind of mask that and make it, a little bit more easy to go down, right?
Yeah.
Well, this little gem was 8.5 when you were telling me about
This
that.
one, this is my favorite one.
The hazy lady.
Coffee porter was my favorite. This is my new favorite.
So if you,
I'm kind of jealous of you all right now.
If you saw it on
a little bit.
if you saw it on the Finally Friday, the Blackwater draw, the hazy lady we talked about as his favorite beer. That was definitely. I like that a lot. I'm sitting here drinking it right now.
Yeah,
it's pretty stoked.
It'll sneak up on you. You don't realize it does not taste at all for as strong as it is.
Does the caffeine from the coffee go into the beer too?
Yeah, a little bit.
So you got like little Four Locos there, then, kind of.
Yeah, a little
bit.
Little coffee.
It definitely has caffeine in it.
Okay, interesting.
That's neat.
So somebody starts out and they are brewing their beer and getting a bottle, maybe doing a contest here and there, I guess. What is the requirements to actually sell your beer either to the public or through somebody to the public? Even, as small as a quantity as possible. Like, do you know the stipulations on that?
I would say you have to have a TABC license, right? You have to have. There's 2 brewing permits in Texas. You have a brew pub and a brewer's manufacturing permit. both of those would allow you to sell beer. But on top of that, then you have to get your federal license as well to manufacture
So
alcohol.
they'll do like a background check and everything.
Yeah, TTB. So
Okay.
once you get those, yeah, you can do it. As far as like putting it in a bottle and selling to the public, then you're talking about, are you going to sell it out of your own store, or are you going to put it into a grocery store or into another bar or something like that? That's a whole nother level you have to go through. Like we can at the brewery in downtown Bryan, we can make a beer, we can name it whatever the hell we want, we can put whatever logo on it, within reason, and we can sell it out there, and that's the way it is. Out of our doors, we can just let it go. We don't need any approval. We already have our license to make it.
Right.
We can just sell it out of our door. Now, copyright and stuff, somebody might
Right.
send us a cease and desist or whatever, but we don't have to worry about any label approval. The second we want to put it into a store or a bar, we have to send a label, like what the artwork looks like, or the name. A lot of times there's alcohol testing. They want to know, like let's say you make a 6% beer, it has to be within 0.03 of
Okay.
6%.
Plus or minus.
You can't say it's 6% and it's really only 3%.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you have to prove that the beer is that ABV, and then once all that's done, then you can sell it out into the market.
What's the highest ABV you can put out? Is there?
I don't know. Dogfish 120 that's like 18 to 20% beer. And there's even more than that. There's, what is that?
How's that
You
even
probably
a beer
heard of
at
it.
that point?
Tactical Nuclear Penguin or whatever from Brewdogs. It's like 40-something%. Like,
And that's naturally through the process. They're not like adding
I
ethanol
think- I
in it
think
on the
they're
back end.
distilling. They got to do some kind of distilling or something.
Sounds like
Okay.
they're putting race gas in there.
Yeah.
Just going Sonico, dropping ethanol in it.
The highest one we've ever done is probably, maybe, I can't remember now, probably 9 or 10.
Okay.
10,
Right.
probably.
We used to drink a 9% beer called Carlsberg Special Brew over in England when we were teenagers, and they call it tramp fuel because it's what homeless guys run off of. So you start getting beer past 9%, especially in England, it gets frowned upon a little bit.
Trap fuel.
Tramp fuel.
Nice.
I mean,
So, was O'Bannon's your first step off into business?
My first business, yeah. I started off working on Northgate
Right.
in Coyote Lot, that little parking lot behind,
Yeah. A lot of you probably been towed out of there.
you were the guy
so I was
towing
sitting
people out
there.
of that?
I didn't tow anybody. I mean, this was in the.
So you were the knock
It
there.
was like in
Those-
2001.
Those
but
were probably decent days, but
it was a lot
just
different
as
back
of
then.
late.
But yeah, they had a guy out there actually taking money to park there,
Yeah.
not just a booth,
You mean a hole in the wall that's not sketchy and
Yeah.
monitored.
So
Yeah.
then I worked door at a bar called Hole in the Wall, and then floor and then bar, and then I went and managed the drive-in saloon for
Oh.
Now, is
like
that,
5
is that
years.
still there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still there.
Isn't that like just a straight through shop bar?
It's like a long hallway.
Yeah.
I did that for 5 years. That was a fun job, man. That was a lot of fun. And then after that, I opened O'Bannon's.
Awesome.
Because that was like, I did that for 5 years. Probably about 4 years into it, I started thinking, I want to do something on my own. And
What was it before there? That spot.
before O'Bannon's, it was it was owned by the same guys who owned the chicken. It was Hole in the Wall Saloon.
Okay.
So
I just remember the guys at work when O'Bannon's opened they were just there like flies. That's all they wanted to do. That's where they wanted to go. Yeah, where they wanted to be. So it's good that it's 14 years. I mean that's a long life cycle for a bar on Northgate.
yeah, I think
The demographic of the area is changing a lot now. It used to be there was a music store there that's gone. There was bookstores there, not so much now. I mean, is it just a district that's going to end up supporting bar business only in the future, or do you kind of see any way for pedestrians to go back to Northgate as a shopping district?
I know the city would love for it to be a walking around multi-use district where you have restaurants,
city seems-
retail.
They seem to
all
think
that.
people like walking a lot more than they actually do. People,
Yeah, well, and
the kickback at Century Square that they got for paid parking here and the parking in the garage, and it's started to recover some now. The parking garage is free, but people still don't want to go park in the garage and walk around, which seems strange to me.
And I think nobody really wants to pay to park to go to a retail store at the same time.
Very true.
You know, and I think that's what hurt Northgate. I mean, Northgate, once they really started charging for parking all the time, that killed any daytime business that was there.
You know that one?
Oh yeah, thank you. I think that was the kind of nail in the coffin for daytime business. Also on that's kind of a two-sided coin because just, you know, e-commerce, like, you know, Amazon and everything, you don't have to go to a retail store anymore. You can just order it at home. You know?
It's hard to put a specific
there's no one thing that did it, but I know pay to park on Northgate really hurt daytime business a lot.
Do you see an age change? Like Sam was talking about the demographics changing. I mean, as far as the average age of the customer that comes into the bar nowadays, I mean, 5 years ago, was it 4 years older on average kind of thing? Or
no, I don't know. We still get a lot of at O'Bannon's. It's we're very strict on minors, and we do get minors come in there, but we're really strict to the point where, I mean, I'd feel safe to say it's mostly 21 to 50.
Can I ask an ignorant question? And pure ignorance. Can you go in a bar at 18?
Yeah.
Oh, so you just can't drink?
It's up to the bar if they want to be 21 and up or 18 and up.
Okay, because I know like the bar restaurant / bar pool hall, they're okay with minors, you know, before about 7 o'clock. But like an out and out bar, I mean, if I'm an out and out bar owner and I have an out and out bar and all I sell is alcohol, I don't think I'd want 18-year-olds coming in.
You don't, but the problem with that is you get 10 people walk up to your door, and let's say 2 of them are not 21, and they're like, the rest of their friends are like, okay, well, we're not going to go here.
Right.
So then you just lost 6 people that would come in.
Yeah.
You just have to do your due diligence to, you know, watch them. And make sure.
Your place, I remember even back right when I first moved to College Station, that was 11 years ago, but I remember the double IDing where at the door, I mean, after a while, a lot of the bartenders, the doorman, you get a new one. I mean, even now, like I went there a few months ago and the doorman carded me, and then, I mean, there were a couple of employees and they started laughing. They're like, oh, Jester's being carded. Like, look at him out front. And so, I mean, after a while they get to know you, but I always remember some people would get upset, and I was like, you have no idea what it's like to own a bar here in Northgate and College Station. And
it's no joke, man.
Double IDing is, I think, completely necessary. You know, sometimes, but like you said, you're wanting to have the people, and they go out and sit on the back patio and the back porch and hang out there, and they'll have 3 rounds, and you know, like you said, 6 people out of 8 is
18 drinks. You're selling.
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, it's a good approach.
Yeah, I get it. I just think that, you know, going back to pedestrianization of stuff and internet shopping, people don't give enough credit to how hot it is and how convenient air conditioners are anymore. I don't want to park my car and walk between 6 different stores. In England, right, the towns were built before the car. So, you know, almost everything is you centralize, you go to one parking lot and you pack your stuff and you walk. But it's also, it's the climate's a lot better for that. I would not happily park and walk to outdoor shopping malls. And I think that we discount the fact that how convenient AC is and how nice it is to just pull up outside a place, get out your car, go into the air-conditioned store, buy something and leave. And then, you know, you've got the convenience of Amazon. I never got to leave the house. And then I got to come pay for parking just to pop into a retail store. And it's, how do you get foot traffic back? Is there a downtown missing in College Station, you know, like the Midtown project we're working on? Or is it something that air conditioning is so convenient and so comfortable, and parking has to be convenient and comfortable, and for really to get people out of their houses, you've only got like this much time in the day to spend on leisure. Why would I walk around and sweat?
That's a good point. We had the city just hired a focus group to look specifically at Northgate and look at traffic problems, parking problems, you know, parking rates, like everything. Just look at everything for the Northgate area. And they had a focus group meeting, and I went to it with a lot of other property owners and business owners. And one of the retail business owners that's been up there for a long time said that same point. He said, you know, Texans want to be able to pull up right to the spot and go right in. They don't want to park way over here, walk down the street to go to the store and jump around and then go back and then pay to park at that. You know, you're absolutely right.
I would rather walk 100 yards under an umbrella in the rain than walk 100 yards in the sun and this humidity right now as a consumer. So I just don't go to the shops.
Well, your place in downtown Bryan, I mean, you tripled any front parking space that you've had at O'Bannon's or the old Blackwater. I mean, just that little tiny row of cars.
That's downtown Bryan. When they did that, they had a really good plan.
They're doing it right,
and they've got the structure laid out that it's really working for them down there, and it's growing, and I think it's continually growing. And just where our brewery is, there's like 3 huge plots of land that are open, and I know one is already about to start for mixed use, like 3 or 4 stories high. They're doing a request for proposal on another one. And I think the third one they want to leave is a green space, which is smart. You know, have one good green space down there that people can do events on. It's right across from our brewery, so we're thinking maybe someday we have a big beer fest out there or something.
Well, you guys do that St. Patty's Day. That's just unreal. Where they close. Oh yeah, right out in front of O'Bannon's. If you haven't been there in Northgate, and just right out there in front is awesome when they close it down. And
do they close off the street?
Close off the street, but they have like the Blaggards.
Blaggards.
Yeah, is it always the Blaggards annually?
It used to not always be. It has been for the past probably 4 or 5 years, and I think they do a podcast now. Blaggards have their own podcast.
Nice.
They did one all about O'Bannon's and the show on Patty's Day, and they just went on and on about how much they like coming there for Patty's Day. So hopefully we have them there for the foreseeable future. But Patty's Day, at O'Bannon's is
I always seem to work on St. Patty's Day.
No joke.
I always seem to work on it. I don't think I've ever had St. Patty's Day off.
It's fun, man. It's a lot of fun. It wasn't easy to get that street blocked off. The city blocked us on that for quite a few years. Yeah. And then we finally convinced them, hey, look, this could be worth it.
I mean, were they already like shutting it down anyway?
What they're going to do?
Traffic?
No, they weren't shutting it down. We have to, actually, we pay to shut that down. The city doesn't shut it down. We have to pay all the barricade fees, all the traffic engineer fees.
It'd be way cheaper if you just got your own barricades, but like that.
The traffic.
Sorry,
the traffic
you can't come in.
Traffic engineer.
Just tell them, sorry, city, you can't come in. The street's actually closed. No, it's closed. You can't drive down it. See, they wouldn't be able to take your barriers away.
I like to think of College Station kind of like a city of fees. When we opened the food park,
oh my God,
we had to pay. It was like $1,500 for those little stupid benches out front because the facade. And we were like, man, we're like $3,000 for the bench. They might have been more than that. I think it might have been $1,800 for the grates that were around the trees that we had to pay for because we had to do the improvements. And I was like, anybody want $3,600 worth of tree grates out front?
That kind of goes. We actually talked about that in the focus group meeting, and that was kind of one of those things where one of the owners brought up is like, if you want more mixed use, if you want Northgate to be better, you've got to unleash.
Oh yeah.
The owners and unleash. Don't the restrictions on Northgate, design wise, layout wise, everything are so strict. You got to unleash everybody and let them reach their potential. You know.
Can we mic that up?
Yeah, if you can't hear it, one of our podcast guests
one of the regulars has fallen asleep and is snoring really loud.
There he is. We had an issue. I remember the biggest thing was, and I don't know what was going on, but when we were developing the whole food park area, one of the things was we accidentally went over an easement, and our builder had gone over it, and they accepted blame for it. And the fix was that they wanted to just put a wraparound in there, and then the city said that they wanted us to build a sewer system along the entire frontage of the road, like across from the domain, and then pair it in across the street, basically doing future work for future businesses that they could plumb into. And we were like,
no, that's exactly what
we were like, absolutely not. We're not responsible for that. And it was just one of the oddest things that I ever heard. And our builder almost did it. Like, he almost agreed to it because that's how hard it is to work and to get different things. I was like, we'll wait 2 months. And I was like, please don't build that and pay for it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I work closely with a commercial developer and a residential developer, and it's very, very common for developers to pay costs and for people that are coming in building to actually pay the costs and tie into the infrastructure of the city. I mean, if you look at it from a taxpayer perspective, the business doing that part and doing that part of the build out, connecting everything up, it saves the city and it saves the taxpayers money. So
right.
You got to see it from kind of both sides of the equation.
No, this was a mistake that we did building it, and they wanted us, instead of just doing a quick fix for the problem, they
for
were
reparations?
They're like, hey, by the way, like you could just take care of this whole thing for us. We're like, no, like this is, that was never established. But I agree with what you're saying. When a business wants to do it, and they say, hey, maybe you improve the infrastructure of the entire area for that thing, that makes sense. And that's a capitalistic point of view. I like that a business is willing to spend money to fix the area, and that means that hopefully that future things will come up around their own business. So
yeah,
kind of goes both ways, right?
Like, do you view competition, like if somebody, builds another bar or something like that in Northgate, or I mean, as long as it's not a brewery right across the street from Blackwater, but I think competition sometimes is healthy, but it can bring more people down there that are gonna,
I mean, if
be
somebody
in the area.
I mean, like Ronin, right there across the street. It's got to just do nothing but attract more people to that little zone that you're in, because you are 3 or 4 blocks from the main area of downtown still. But I'm only seeing the growth move north from there, from that small area all the way down to where you are. It'll fill in. It'll come back fill. I've seen different plans, and never two the same, that the city's got for that whole little region down there. And you were right that it's going to go mixed use, and there's going to be some commercial and then apartment space. I mean, the lofts in downtown Bryan, one of the companies I'm tied with, they manage a lot of loft space down there, and they have no issues whatsoever keeping it full. I mean, there's like a wait for people to come and rent those lofts out. So I would live downtown Bryan in a heartbeat if there was a garage spaces to put my car. But I don't fancy parking on the street. But I could see it at a different stage of life. Yeah, those downtown lofts are pretty appealing. So
yeah, there's a couple new ones that popped up, and I mean, I honestly I credit a lot to a lot of people, like Dustin and you, putting something down there that make people want to stay there, want to live around that area. But there's brand new loft space just right on the other side of that street, and there's a reason that's there now. It wasn't.
Yeah, 15 years ago, man, you wouldn't dare walk in downtown after dark barely. There was a lot of boarded up buildings and stuff. And they really came through and did a number on it, man. I love hanging out.
They really have, and I think they're, the one thing it's missing. I know they're downtown Bryan right now is focused on getting more people to live down there. That's kind of their next focus. Is we want people to live in downtown because you can shop, you can eat, you can play, you kind of got everything.
Oh yeah,
right there. Hopefully somebody will come in and put like a little grocery store or something in there,
Ooh.
That'd be pretty good. There's a lot of people living around there.
What kind of grocery store? Like a farmer's market or something?
Or something, I don't know.
Like a little deli, bakery, fruit, coffee.
It'd be pretty neat.
Yeah. I know the Village sells some locally grown stuff. They have local honey, local preserves, sausage as well. Christy's husband Jim makes that sausage. Yeah. It's real good down there. So I like the farmers market vibe that's going on. I mean, I think that College Station can maybe learn a thing or two from those guys. Maybe.
We tried to do a farmers market when we had our restaurant on Northgate. We did a little farmers market in our parking lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was pretty fun. And then the health department shut it down.
What?
Probably because it wasn't.
My story is because they have their own in downtown Bryan. They have their farmers market down there, and it was competing as my story. But they said something about people selling, I don't know,
unlicensed zucchini.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're not properly. You got to shrink wrap it for health and safety.
We had to go through all that stuff with the food truck park and
you
everything.
You had some peppers. Tell the pepper story.
Oh God darn.
Brent's peppers.
It was Brent gave us
we have a friend.
Yeah.
That is to like peppers like Dr. Doolittle is to animals. I mean, he's just amazing at peppers. That's about all he does. And he'd given Alex some peppers. Sorry, I stole your story, mate. Go
so he gave me a whole bunch of peppers, and I mean, I guess in hindsight, it's my fault, but at the same time, it's one of those things where you just got a random health inspection, and they were like, "Where did you acquire these peppers from?" And I was like, "Well, my friend grows them," and they were like, "Okay," and they're like, "Well, produce has this amount of shelf life, so we're going to come back and check you know, the next time. And it had been that day, so I was like, all right, great. So now I have to discard. But there was no way I could have used all those. But that was one of the things with farmers market and food things. That was one of the rules with food trucks is that you didn't even have to get a mobile food truck license to sell produce that was not prepared or anything. So a raw produce, you could sell it at any time without a license in one of those little mobile trucks.
Yep.
But I don't know, that was kind of interesting. But they're just the laws and regulations of everything
It's
that
like
goes
each
into
pepper
that.
has to have an individual barcode. Now,
I
so
don't
it can
know.
be tracked back to the planet it was grown from.
Yeah, but
I guess.
yeah, those things kicked, man. And also being inside a food truck when you saute some real spicy peppers on that griddle and just get
Oh, you knew about it.
capsaicin that just right in your face, and you're sitting there crying, coming in the window, and you're like, "Hey, you guys want a pepper up on your burger?" on your burger? And they're like, "No, not really. It looks like it's pretty painful." Yep, sorry.
Yeah. The things you have to stop eating as you get older.
Yeah.
You know, spicy foods.
So
Back on topic. Do
So
we have a topic even?
the first business, I mean, how difficult of a step was that for you to take when you open up O'Bannon's? Like, I mean, that's a big jump to your first business. Do you remember toiling over that and thinking
Yep.
about how to do it? And
I remember it like it was yesterday. You know, you spend 5 years. You know, I was managing driving for 5 years, and I thought, oh man, I knew how to open the building, route the schedule. I knew how to, you know, do a little bit of inventory, and we didn't even count the drawer. They had people to count the drawer, so we didn't do any of that. We didn't Z out the register. We didn't do it. But I thought, you know, I was like, I know enough. What does
Z out the register.
You know, well, back then you had a key.
Yeah,
You could turn it
yeah.
into Z. You know.
Oh my
It was
God,
that
I
was a
remember
banger.
that.
Yeah, it was a banger.
It prints out all that stuff.
Yeah, but
yeah, it
you know,
gives the total at the
Yeah,
end.
and it's a little purple ink. The purple ink on the receipt thing.
and then we opened O'Bannon's, and you know, we didn't have any money. We opened up the day we opened. There were booths that were already built that we used, but we didn't have any tables, like any other tables. We had like 6 booths, and that was it. So we had nowhere for anybody to sit. We didn't have any. We just tried to get the doors open as fast as possible. And literally, you know, we put up some TVs and really shitty TVs.
I was gonna say the old school ones.
Oh,
like,
the big projector thing, you know,
Yes.
whatever that we bought from. We bought it at an auction from a restaurant that closed or something, and it was a piece of crap. But it was just a dump when we opened it, man. But we opened and literally, you know, you sit there and after your first day, you're like, shit, now what do I do? Like, you don't know how to pay payroll, you don't know how to do anything. So it was a big learning curve. It really was a big learning curve. But I'm a pretty quick learner, you know.
I mean, that's great, and being able to think constructively on your feet, and then, you know, get it as it comes. Somebody's like, "Hey, do this," and you're like, "Nope," but you got to figure out how to do it real quick, and then it's like, okay.
Part of it's just you just got to Google one step quicker than the guy right behind you.
14 years ago, I mean, how did you advertise? Like, how were you handling that? Do you remember? Was everybody pretty excited?
There was a
because
MySpace page, right?
MySpace.
Okay.
There was
Okay.
We actually opened before MySpace got real big.
You guys got a MySpace, right?
Yeah, we I remember because I remember Blackguards. They came into O'Bannon's, and it was when MySpace was just kind of getting big. And I remember Patrick Devlin, he's the lead singer, right? He was telling us, "Oh man, MySpace is great. We can go anywhere and play anywhere now because of MySpace, because people can see us and hear us before we get out there." So, you know, MySpace was pretty funny. But yeah, we advertised, and we would do radio ads. We would do, you know, whatever print we could maybe do, or just make flyers to put up around the bar.
So Northgate.
There was no Facebook or anything.
Northgate was, I guess, in my head, still pretty young. It's not where it is today. Do you remember like what was going on around you? I mean, naturally the Dixie Chicken and those guys were all there,
Yeah.
like you said. But you replaced the hole in the wall, so it was was it the Dixie Chicken next to you back then? The big corner bar. That's
Shadow Canyon.
Shadow Canyon
was back when it was connected to Hole in the Wall.
okay.
And then it went from Shadow Canyon to like Midnight Rodeo, and then I don't remember all the. It's been like 4.
Or
or 5
It's been everything.
Not the Dixie Chicken.
It's been, yeah, I know what you're talking about. But it's been 4 or 5 different places. You're talking about the dance hall?
Yeah.
It's Shiner Park right now.
It's Shiner Park, and then what was it? A few years ago. It seemed like 5 years ago.
It's literally
Daisy Dukes.
Daisy
Yeah.
Dukes. There you go.
I was like,
It's
Daisy.
changed a lot over the years.
Yeah.
Dude, we played a show there one night. it was I forget what it was for, and then there was a DJ on afterwards, and I've never seen a place change so fast from like a rocking country bar, which is what we were doing, and as we started tearing down, the DJ was set up on the front of the stage in front of our gear, and it changed from a country bar to a nightclub in about 2 seconds. It was absolutely insane. No wonder it's got identity problems, I'll tell you that, but it was great. It was great to see. But
they used to be, when it was Shadow Canyon, Hole in the Wall, and then next on the other side of us is Paddock Lane.
Right.
So those all used to be connected. You had Shadow Canyon was the big dance hall.
Okay.
And there were these big metal double doors that opened up to where O'Bannon's is now. That was Hole in the Wall.
Okay.
And then we have like a little sidebar built in O'Bannon's now. But behind that, there was an opening that went into where Paddock Lane is.
Okay.
And so Paddock Lane was a
yeah.
daiquiri bar. They had it was part of Hole in the Wall, but they served all frozen daiquiris and stuff in there.
That's
and
right.
Then Hole in the Wall was like your country western bar.
It's just
and then
it's like
Shadow
walking through.
Canyon was,
It's like walking through time. And just back in the
when
day.
we took over O'Bannon's, we only got that spot. So that big metal door that went into Shadow, it's still there.
Yeah.
We just built a wall. We ground down the hinges and kind of welded it shut and then built a wall over it, but it's still there. It's kind of fun when you do all the remodeling at O'Bannon's over the years. Every time we do remodeling, you tear stuff down, you do stuff, and you see behind the layers of bars that were there before us even, back when Club Ozone was there.
Club Ozone.
Club Ozone.
That
And
building's
the
been
Q
there a
used
while.
to be a pool hall. The Q, we saw signs for the Q, like paintings on the wall.
that was the Q up there? I didn't know.
A long time ago, yeah.
But back when I first started, the Q was off of South College, opposite the Ptarmigan, in that building. But that's a strip mall now.
So when you first started O'Bannon's, do you remember who, I guess, went along with you, or like who your first set of employees were, and like how you found them? And
Yeah, me and I had a partner from the drive-in.
okay.
And I knew him from college, but we opened O'Bannon's together, and then we brought maybe 1 or 2 guys from O'Bannon's wanted to come work, or from drive-in wanted to come work at O'Bannon's, and the rest we just hired,
So
yeah, we've had a lot.
during that opening process, coming from either that or for Blackwater, tell us a little bit about one of the biggest challenges you faced. Because my biggest challenge is like keeping everybody on task throughout the night. Let's say, making sure everybody's doing what they say they're doing when they say they're supposed to be doing it. That's one of the biggest things with inexperienced teams and busy businesses. Let's say.
Right.
Was there something that took you by surprise, or did 5 years of bar management kind of just prepare you adequately?
I don't think we've had that problem. I think two different, so O'Bannon's and Blackwater are night and day from each other. Opening up Blackwater on Northgate, the restaurant brew pub, probably the biggest challenge was just training. Whether it was kitchen or whatever. Once you add that kitchen element, a full service kitchen, and you have servers. It's and cooks and it's just training, and then being on Northgate, you get a turnover of people.
Yep.
And so you're always training all the time. That was probably the biggest challenge for O'Bannon's. It's probably just just hiring people. I've always thought. And this is probably just because, you're hiring young people.
Right.
And so I've always felt we have to hire 10 people to get a good 2 or 3 that would stay and work for a year or 2 even.
Well, it's a transient town.
You hire a lot of people that, they're gone in 6 months. You hire a lot of people they're gone in a month. You hire people that are gone in 2 days.
I do remember that at both Blackwater and O'Bannon's, so you're talking about like that turnover, but you had some employees at O'Bannon's that I felt like I knew before, that were there before I even moved to College Station, that were there. They might still be there. And
we've been pretty fortunate at O'Bannon's. We've had a good amount of staff that have stayed for 5 years, stayed for 6 years, 3 or 4 years, and we had a few of those at Blackwater as well. But yeah, sometimes you hire people and they have this idea of what it's like to work in a bar, and literally 2 or 3 days later they're like, I'm out.
I mean,
Yeah, it's hard.
bartending's a rite of passage for anybody trying to put themselves through college and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I did it for the longest time, and I think it gives you a skill set that you carry with you for the rest of your life. I think it's very well worthwhile, and I like to hire people. Not that I look too closely, but if they've got kind of service industry experience and they've stayed at it, it does mean they've got a little bit of a thicker skin. They'll probably make a better long-term problem solver, because in service you either get it right or you get chewed out immediately. So I definitely over tip as a result of my time in the service industry.
Yeah,
for sure. So
you were saying, I guess, right before Blackwater, that hiring is just as difficult, if not more difficult these days, with people coming in. Like you had that weird little batch of 6 people that applied, or
that was at O'Bannon's. Yeah, the problem this is a new thing because Northgate.
I mean, you're kind of scary.
But I don't do that anymore. Like this is, we have managers at O'Bannon's that are hiring and talking to people, and they're not scary at all. And they just had about 6 or 7 people apply, schedule interviews, and not one of them showed up. Talked to another bar owner on Northgate, and he said the exact same thing. He's like, we just scheduled 6 interviews. So I'm hoping it was just the same 6 people, and it's not a trend that we're about to start seeing. With the crop coming up, looking for jobs.
Well, one very old, very wise guy that I worked for told me, he's like, the key to being successful is like, if you want to outperform 98% of people in this life, he says, you got to do 2 things. I said, well, go on, what's that? He says, you got to show up on time, and you got to do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
And that's it. And as it's not even a skill set. It's just a prerequisite of a good employee. But as I move forward, as my business owning experience grows and grows, I find just showing up on time and doing what you say you're going to do are 2 things that are missing from a lot of people's skill sets. I mean, you find that more with the younger crowd, or is that just?
Yeah, Matt, I think that's what I think over the years we've kind of seen, we're always hiring young. We're getting older, but
right.
They'll stay the same age,
right? Yeah. But I do.
Oh, I never thought about it.
It's getting harder and harder to find that kind of person with a really good work ethic.
Yeah, and then another thing too that's, I guess, also different is when you are younger, and like you said, we're getting older, and they're staying the same age, and I guess now that you get older, things that you might have been able to sort of, I guess, look past, kind of thing. Now, like a 22-year-old kid comes up and you're like,
really?
And you stare at him and it's like, come on, man.
I've heard this same excuse.
What are you doing?
17 times.
Yeah,
I know it's not true.
Right, like the first time you're like, okay, and then now, it's just over the years.
Yeah, it might just be as wise to just allot 3 grandmothers' funerals per employee per year. Just don't ask any questions. I got it, Tex. Thanks, buddy. That's what I would do. Did you see, on a completely different note now, moving off of business for a minute, did you see some French fella had set a record today, or yesterday, for flying on a hoverboard?
No.
He made his own jet-powered hoverboard. Not only did he make his own jet-powered hoverboard, he flew it across the English Channel without crashing at average speeds of over 60 miles an hour. I think I fancy a hoverboard.
This is that thing. I didn't see the story this specifically.
It's a jet-powered hoverboard.
Yeah.
It doesn't shoot from his back.
I've seen the guy.
It's the same guy. Didn't he also invent the water one, right?
I have no idea.
I think I saw something the other day where a guy who invented the water one with the hose that everybody.
Yeah.
Same thing, but it's air. It's on his feet.
Because ever since Back to the Future, I've wanted one. And then when I heard he went across water, the first thing I thought was like, you bozo, they don't work on water. You need power. But I guess he solved that with jets, right? No, you can't.
And he's not like he's higher up. He's not like this high off the ground.
No, he's like actually flying it. Yeah, like more like Green. He's like the Green Goblin guy.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
actually flying around, powered.
Yeah. Okay.
And he controls it by just wobbling his feet. It's unbelievable.
Okay, I was thinking like the Back to the Future hoverboard. So
a couple of folks, Will and that girl whose name I can never remember. They both went skydiving the other day, and that got me thinking. Have you seen those wingsuits now that the Red Bull guys have? And they've got little jets in their arms, man. And I just think we're not having enough fun down here at the Cigar Lounge. I think we should do a Finally Friday with you in a jet suit, Alex.
I'll do it. Honestly, there's not really much convincing me to like just
to fly in a jet
just like
suit?
This is what we're doing. It's like okay. Like,
It looks like the most fun in the world. They look like these, they look like sugar gliders. You ever seen those little sugar gliders that do that? Yeah, I would just love to try it.
Isn't it amazing that like on YouTube they'll have something like the sugar gliders and they look cute and furry and funny and people are like, oh, I want to get one of those as pets, and then there's like someone in the comments and they're like, you absolutely do not want to have those as pets. They're like, as a sugar glider zoologist expert.
There used to be a pet store here in town that sold them.
Oh my gosh!
There
was a pet store here in town, like not a PetSmart, but like a pet store,
like a individually owned pet store over off of Harvey. And they used to sell sugar gliders. Man,
those were the days, huh?
I went to buy one. I saw an advert in, believe it or not, the Thrifty Nickel or whatever it was or is, and I drove out to Normandy, and I met this woman from the Thrifty Nickel, and she was in her 60s, and she was a sugar glider breeder, and it was the most awfulest, nastiest thing I've ever seen. If I could have rescued them all, I would, and I only went for one. I ended up just getting two. And boy, they breed, man. They breed fast.
Really?
Even when they got to be X months old to neuter them, but they're fertile at Y months old. And there's this little couple of month overlap where we were having to put like a divider in the cage and keep the male and female separate. You know, we wake up in the morning and because they're nocturnal, so they're super active at night. You wake up in the morning and the male would have grabbed the female's bed in and just pulled all of it through the bars, and she'd be just there, and because he was trying to get the girl. And we bred them once, let them have a litter, and then neutered them after that. And I love sugar gliders. I mean, they're great little pets, you know, and they make this horrible barking, hissing sound if they're scared, but they bond to you like just this little thing, and it will just sit on you and it will stay on you and it won't go. It will sleep in your pocket, and they're great. They're great, but you got to have some patience, and you've got to know that they're a lot more work than a cat. You know, you've got to play. You've got to get them out every night. You got to handle them. You got to play with them because you are their pack leader. You're the one they come to. You're the one they turn to. So I will get sugar gliders again. They were great fun, but. Just went alarmingly off down memory lane there. We have completely given up on politics. You know, we thought about touching some political issues, and then we just looked at the news and said, you know what? No, I don't think we're going to.
I kind of want to ask him about Aggieland. How long have you been? You were in Aggie as well.
I moved down here in '96.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So you legitimately remember cattle on University Drive then?
I remember when it was all dirt behind the Dixie Chicken, and you know, it was everybody parked on the dirt. There was no parking lot.
What's something that you miss about Aggieland?
Bonfire.
The bonfire?
On-campus bonfire. Mm-hmm. That was, you know, bonfire on campus. You would, you know, every fall, you know, you're at the busiest intersection in town, Texas and University. No matter what you're doing during the day, no matter what you're doing, where you're going, you see the logs getting stacked out there. Then you see center pole go up, and you see it, and it's just day by day it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And whether you were active, you know, if you were a current student or a former student or whatever, everybody just could feel that energy. Just this town, you know, focused around this big thing coming up right there on Texas and University, and it was just awesome, man. You could feel it in the air, and then on burn night that. You know, 50, 60,000 people come in, and it was just.
I mean, back then that was a big portion of the town.
It was an experience.
I wished I could have seen that. To put it into perspective, when you said there's an atmosphere everywhere, I got here. My first visit down here was in April 2000, which was 5 months after that happened, and the whole town just had like this shroud on it. Everybody was just down. Everybody was just kind of on edge and stuff, and you could tell. I remember seeing it on the news in England. I hadn't even heard of Texas A&M at that point, and I still remember it was headline news over here. But when I got to town, you could feel almost just an overwhelming sense of sadness across the town for something I'd never experienced being a foreigner. And then I remember the first student bonfires going up after that and stuff like that. And I remember the outrage and the outcry and the whole debate about, are we going to let them do it again or are we not? And I just caught the tail end of it. And I regret, I wished I got to see just one go up like that. So I've seen the pictures, seen the videos of them.
Yeah, that's probably the one thing I would say I miss the most about from when I first moved here to now. Yeah.
You jumped that pretty quick, so that must have been a pretty awesome thing.
It was really cool. You could go out there. You could go out there, days after it fell, and a lot of people go out there and collect ashes and stuff, but it would still be burning. It'd still have hot logs cinder in it.
They weren't logs. I think what people fail to realize is these things weren't logs. They were full-on trees.
Well, they were full-on trees.
It wasn't just like a stack of logs. It was a stack of cut trees that were, and the size of the damn thing. I mean, there's, and it's unfortunate to say, but there's no wonder there were so many people hurt, just because these were. You don't get a sense of the scale of the damn thing unless
you're climbing it and you're
unbelievably big.
Yeah.
So yeah. So where do we go from that? Because it is about 3 minutes to finish in.
So where do you see the future of, downtown Bryan, or what are you looking forward to? I mean, not even outside of Blackwater, but anything on the radar or something that you've heard, like you said, that mixed use building coming up?
We're looking forward to, we're staked in North Downtown Bryan. We bought that building, so
great.
We are fully invested in that area. So we're anxious and ready and willing for that to all blow up around us and grow and, get that, watch that kind of growing up. As far as Northgate, just looking forward to just keeping trucking along, doing our thing.
Football season's about to kick off.
Football season's about to kick off.
Walmart from the other day when I went for office supplies, full of kids again. So it's about that time of year again. We're getting back to it, and I think everybody's business is about to pick up now.
You think they'll get the road construction done pretty soon here?
What on earth?
From what I've heard, they've been doing on University. I've heard University Drive around the Northgate area is almost done. I think it's almost done, finally. But they've been doing work on Texas and University since I came to school in '96. It never ends.
It's still going on.
It never ends.
They were exploring options, about completely pedestrianising University Drive and getting just between where Century Square is and Texas University right there, making a big underpass and putting a tunnel for the traffic and tunneling under and sending the traffic under, and then making everything from Bonfire Memorial up all pedestrianised and green space. And I don't know if that'll ever come to pass. I was at the economic development thing with the Chamber of Commerce, and they flashed up a few. Here's what we've thrown around. I don't know if it'll ever come to pass, but that would be. It would essentially take everything from Century Square west and pedestrianise it, which I think would be pretty cool. It'd be a hell of a project.
Bring ground 2095.
I don't know. I mean, no, they just floated around at the last economic development thing I was privy to sit in on. So, on that note and on that bombshell, Chris Steele from Blackwater Draw, thank you for coming out and hanging out with us this last hour and being a part of this, and for Finally Friday as well. Alex over there, you do great, mate. I don't know where I'd be without you. And talking of being without people, Tex back there running the show, making us look wonderful from the Texas Media Foundry. Thank you to him, and thank you to Cavalier Cigar on University Drive for letting us come out and use their facilities. So that's it from us. Thank you again, Chris. Thank you, Alex. And we will see you guys same time next week on Live at the Lounge. Have a good one.